Hey everybody, welcome back to Feedback Loop. I'm Joey,
And I'm Jeremy.
and this week we're chipper.
Chipper
We're-
boys.
Yeah, dude. We're listening to an album that I suggested last week
It's a
by
very, very chipper album.
very chipper album. It's called Colourmeinkindness by Basement, and there's no spaces in that album title. It's just Colourmeinkindness, and it's with a U in color because they're British.
British.
So, British.
Is that an old joke? Are we allowed to still use that?
Dude, I mean, it's new to everybody who's listening to this, which is nobody. Obligatory, nobody listens to our podcast joke.
Anyways, why'd you pick this album, Joey?
Well, so recently we've been trying to do albums that we don't really have a history with.
Yeah.
And I've just been going through my notebook that I started whenever we started doing this podcast, where I was I was actively looking for music, and just found this album on there. I had written some stuff about the first two tracks, but I don't think I ever finished the album.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? It's time. We'll do this one. So.
That's an interesting note, I think, in the context of having listened to this whole album. Yeah. I don't want to drag us out. I feel like it's going to be a long episode regardless, because I've written a lot. Surprisingly, I've written more about the lyrics and the music on this album.
Oh.
But so we're just gonna dive right into the whole thing and get through it step by step.
Well, the first whole track on this album is track number 1, Hole.
It is indeed. This song immediately hits with some nostalgia vibes for me.
Yeah.
It has this like early 2000s Need for Speed soundtrack kind of rock to it, and I fucking love it. It reminds me of bands like Hotwire and Unwritten Law, and even at some points like Story of the Year, when it gets a little bit more emo-y, I suppose. The vocals in this are exactly what they need to be to fit the music. The guitar tones are just great. The song is just a great feeling.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm glad you think it, because I was wondering if his voice was going to be too, like, emo whiny for you. Which, I mean...
It's just the right amount, and I think the music helps it.
Yeah,
because because it's very nostalgic having that kind of sound.
Yeah, like, it's just this super thick and chunky without being... It's not metal, is the thing.
Yeah,
but
it's hard rock.
It's hard rock, but it's just so... like shoegazy, but it's not even like
it's kind of Deftones shoegazy in some ways, but not as extreme, I guess.
Yeah, it's the thing that I had written about this song is that it reminded me immediately, I think back whenever I listened to it, it reminded me of the guitar tone in like Everlong, but more
I actually called out Everlong later on in the album.
I did too on my notes, but I didn't bring it in necessarily to this one, but I figured I'd bring it up because you said it was so nostalgic, and that's it hit that sound.
I agree. It's a good sound.
Yeah, it is a good sound.
This album sounds great for the most part, I think.
Well, awesome. Okay, that's a good start. Lyrically, you said you had written a bunch about the lyrics.
Yeah.
But was this...
this one's not. So basically... the gist of all of my not all of them, several songs on this album, I feel like are written about me. I have a very like strong relation to the content of the lyrics, at least what I was interpreting from them. Yeah. So I think I tended to kind of like dive deeper into the analysis of this character that is also myself at some points, but not on this one. This one, the lyrics for me, just they're like some fairly like standard emo lyrics, I guess, about being unsure if your feelings are being reciprocated by someone you love. And then the chorus of the song makes me think that the singer knows the answer to that question, because he's saying lie to me, make me see, which kind of makes me think that like he knows it's not reciprocated, but he doesn't want to accept it yet.
Yeah, it that's pretty much what I got. Like, man, that's cool. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to picture in my mind what songs you're talking about.
We'll get into it.
Yeah, we definitely will. But
I don't want you to covet my relationship with this album that you picked for me. But
well, shit, man. I guess we'll just relate right on to track number 2, Covet.
Yes, we are flying through these segues, and for good reason. This one, the first note on this song is, seriously, the moody vibes on this album are great. I really love the tone of everything on this album. This one's a slower track. It almost hits like a Pixies Where's My Mind feel.
Oh my god.
And then it kind of like gets to like some kind of Incubus vibes in the chorus. I know I'm doing a lot of relating this to other music, but that's just where my mind is for this. Like,
where is your mind?
That was not intentional, but it's just kind of where it felt for me in this kind of like this album came out in 2012, by the way, which surprised me.
Yeah,
because it feels solid like early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s for a lot of it.
I definitely agree. And Where Is My Mind is the only note I had written about this song in my notebook. I just wrote, Where Is My Mind next to Covet. So
hell yeah. The vocals on this one, this is where I called it out, and I'm kind of calling myself out on this because I give a lot of shit about bad vocalists when they're within the context of a lot of the folk punk and stuff that we've done in the past. But I feel like within the context of this music, it feels more like raw and pained to me, and maybe it's just because I'm relating to it or something. But I just feel like the kind of quote unquote bad singing doesn't bother me at all in this kind of music.
I mean, I agree with you. Also, that's coming from, I guess, the point of view that I have where bad vocals just kind of in general don't get me. But like, there's just something about, especially right before the chorus hits in, where the lyrics that he's singing are good heart and a desire to please. I want a fatal disease. Like the harshness that he puts on his voice in that is just, it's great. Like it just hits this primal urge inside of me to just scream, and it's awesome.
Yeah, he has a lot of good clean vocals and a lot of good harsh vocals on this album, and even the good clean vocals are sometimes not good. They're just like he like, I think in the last track there's one note or something that he's flat intentionally on, and it nails the vibe I think that needed to be nailed for it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of vocals, the things that he's singing, the words that are coming out of this vocalist, this song I feel like is a very universal song to like a certain type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I mean, it opens with, when I'm with you, I don't want to be with you. And just that line, like, it goes deeper than not liking somebody to me, where, I mean, I guess if you just said that, it could sound like, oh, you don't like that person. But the way he sings it comes off as like the feeling of being lonely when you're next to somebody else or when you're around other people. Like,
yeah,
the feeling of loneliness that you don't get when you're alone, where it's like you feel so disconnected from either a specific person that you're near or just people in general, that you feel worse off when you're next to people. And that's just like something that hits decently close to home, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. This one, it wasn't like right on the nose for me relating it to myself. For this one, it kind of felt, I felt like this was kind of the start of where the story started forming in my mind for this album. And with the singer seems to be, I took it to be about a lover that he had, like an ex-girlfriend or whatever, or maybe current girlfriend, I guess, at the time that the perspective of the song is from. But it seemed like he wanted something more or different, I guess. He felt like the person he was with was maybe just too like direct and open and proper, and there's not like any mystery or excitement behind that. He wants some kind of drama, I guess, within his relationship, and there's not really anything there, and he's kind of bored of it, I guess.
Yeah, he wants the spice of life.
Yeah, which is it's a big theme on this album, at least from what I was pulling.
Yeah, definitely. He's I guess he's been spoiled with not enough adversity in his life, and now he definitely needs some.
Exactly, and that's a great thing to write a song about, and I think he did in track number 3, actually, coincidentally, called Spoiled.
Oh my god, it's almost like he wrote that song specifically about something along that line.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of music notes on this one. This kind of just keeps the nostalgia train rolling with the more like upbeat, kind of grungy, alt, hard rock kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's got like a little bit of a chuggier start, I guess, and it's more, I don't know, alt rock than hard rock, but yeah, they definitely keep that same early 2000s sound. which it does blow my mind that their first album didn't come out till 2011. So like it's not even like they're
they don't have
continuing this
roots.
sound. Like the fact that these guys, and I mean, I guess like they were just really inspired by that sound, which you hear it a lot now, but they just nail it so well, I think.
I agree. The music on this album it perfectly captures the mood that it needs to capture, I think. Lyrically, like literally the first bullet point, this song is about me. This is what I wrote. It's like the song, the way I interpreted the song is it's about like feeling super jaded about life because you've lived so like lukewarm comfortably that you kind of resent yourself for it, and it's about growing apathetic because there's none of that adversity, none of that struggle to incite you to change anything. You just kind of coast along living life, which I think is a theme that comes up a lot in this album, and that's something that I kind of relate to a lot, unfortunately. I feel like the context created by Covet being the prior track kind of informs the direction of the song quite a bit as well, where it seems like the singer, like kind of like I mentioned or teased, I guess, in the last one, the singer seems like he's just bored with the mundane, carefree life and wants something different. And he kind of feels selfish about it. Like he's aware of how shitty it is, I suppose. So he kind of like, he feels selfish for wanting some sort of conflict or struggle because other people have it way worse and would kill to have a mundane life. He feels bad about it. And it's kind of just this grass is always greener on the other side thing. When you have a calm, quiet life, you want something more exciting. And when something's more exciting, you want something calm. And I also kind of backtracked to the first track, and it made me wonder if the first track was written from the perspective of someone who thinks the singer doesn't care much, because he didn't. He kind of like his apathy towards relationships, I suppose, in general is, or I guess not apathy towards relationships, but towards people is a big theme on this album as well. So I feel like maybe it was either him projecting onto the relationship in the first track, or it's actually talking about himself instead of about his partner.
That's kind of what I was wondering too, because like, I mean,
I'm sorry, I had a lot of notes there that you probably had input on, and I just kept going.
Nah, dude, like you wrote essentially the same thing that I wrote, apparently, because I don't know, just like throughout my life, I felt like I'm kind of like, which this is a pretty fucking privileged position to
For
take.
sure.
But I've always felt like I'm just like this boilerplate average fucking human being who's just kind of coasting through life, haven't had too much adversity, which I definitely recognize the fact that like I'm saying I'm an average person. Like globally, I'm not an average person, but like
right.
I mean average in like the most boring of ways.
Yeah.
Like, which is just, I don't know, whenever you're dead inside because you feel so bored, you want to feel alive, and that's like a feeling that I can relate to, where it's like, I mean, I went through a fucking whirlwind tailspin of a period of my life essentially chasing that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it was stupid of me, but it was like something that I feel like I had to do because I was so stuck in this feeling that this guy's talking about here. And this is kind of where I was like, I bet this is where he's gonna say, because like, I don't know, not that we've lived the same life. I know we've definitely had different paths, but
For sure.
we come from the same area, so I feel like
we're both very privileged, and there's not a lot of drama, there's not a lot of excitement in our lives. We're both very privileged, like you said, and have comfortable, like just comfortable living styles, I suppose. We were very fortunate to be born into such lifestyles, I guess.
Yeah, like
there's guilt associated with that, obviously, but like, I don't know, it feels worse when you're kind of wanting a tragedy to strike, or you're wanting something to talk about, to be interesting, I guess, to make your life, I guess, stand out a little bit more than everyone else. But
yeah,
maybe that's a bit extreme to say. But
I mean, I don't think it's extreme, because like even on this album he talks about, I mean, the guilt that you feel from having that life, but then the guilt for feeling guilt for having the life. So like there's just like layers of fucking
guilt.
Like guilt.
For sure. In the song he says, I know nothing of real pain. I'm a child and I'm spoiled. I hate myself for my complaints. I'm pathetic and I'm bored. I cry simply at the thought. I crumble at the sight. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's too real for me. It hits way too close to home because it's just like, I mean, yeah, I lost my mom, right? So you could argue that I've had some traumatic experiences or whatever, but it doesn't feel that way to me. And maybe that's just the way I've coped with it or not coped with it or something. But like, I don't know. It just I hate the fact that I feel like I'm stagnating and not really just kind of like, instead of exploring opportunities and experiencing things for most of my life, I've just been kind of on the same straight, safe path.
Yeah.
That's a little foreshadowing for something that comes up later. But just not taking any risks, just kind of like taking it easy and coasting.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I hate myself for it.
Yeah. I feel that. Like, I pine to live a life in which I don't feel safe every second. I mean, I feel anxiety, but that doesn't mean I'm not safe.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I definitely
Maybe you
want that.
can find some comfort and ease your anxiety and maybe live a little bit by going on to the next track, number 4, Pine.
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 Like the tree.
like a pine tree. What is a pine tree pining for?
Sap. I don't know.
I feel like it has a lot of sap.
It does.
I don't know what it wants, man.
It's pining for another tree's sap because it's all about
baby.
love.
Swapping sap.
I don't fucking know, dude. Swapping sap. That's there's a name, a band name, an album name in there somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
But this one, it takes on a more head boppy feel. I couldn't really describe it any other way. But
yeah,
where the other ones were kind of slower, this one, it at least, dude, I don't know, like, because I consider the Misfits like head boppy music, where you're just like, yeah, like no matter what it's talking about, you're just like, you want to move your head kind of side to side, bop it a little bit. But that's the feel I got from this from this song.
Yeah, it kind of like, it brightens up a bit too, and it kind of like, I don't know. I wrote that it felt almost like a poppy kind of like love song, even though the lyrics do not imply that. Just the general like vibe changes a little bit here, and it seems a bit more manic, I suppose, than the depressive kind of tone in the rest of the album, which was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, there was also a point on the vocals here. I feel like he sounds a little bit like an alternate universe Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day on this track.
That's an interesting point. I don't know if I made the connection vocally, but at several points in this album, I was like, I could definitely see this being a Green Day song. Which is
maybe it was just the atmosphere that got me there, but I was just like, something about this. I feel like I'm listening to a Green Day song.
Yeah, and it's totally like, it doesn't sound like the tone and stuff, like, it's clearly distinct. It's not like they're imitating Green Day or anything, but yeah, there's just some vibes in there that are teasing it, like similar things that Green Day does. Lyrically, this one was another all too relatable song for me. I think he sings about like needing to be loved despite the fact that he doesn't love anyone, and he has no attachment to any one specific person, but he still wants to be wanted, and he knows it's incredibly selfish and unfair because he feels like he's incapable of giving that love, but he wants it kind of back. Just wanting something that you can't equally provide to somebody feels bad. And I think I've definitely felt that in the past.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's like you're almost more in love with the feeling that you get, like the loving feeling, and not necessarily even being attached to the person who is giving you that feeling. It's just like a completely separate thing, where, not to sound extremely harsh, but the other person is almost like the means to an end.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the end is the feeling you get from them, or the love you get from them, or whatever.
100%. I mean, everybody wants to be wanted, right? And I think this song and a lot of this album kind of approaches that from the side of like, yeah, I want to be wanted, but I don't want anybody, kind of a thing, where he doesn't, he's kind of apathetic, I guess, towards people. He doesn't really feel any romantic connection. He wants something that he cannot give anybody else, and in that aspect it's kind of like selfish and guilty. I think, at least that's the way I do it, because sometimes I feel that way about myself, where I'm just like, I feel like I'm so disconnected and incapable of feeling such strong feelings towards somebody but at the same time, it would absolutely be fantastic if there was somebody that felt that strongly about me. That was a very depressing thing to say in hindsight. I'm not actually like depressed. I've reconciled my loneliness, or I guess I'm continually reconciling that. But I'm not bothered by the thought of being alone, I guess, just to be clear.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, full disclosure, I have been in a committed relationship that I'm glad to be in.
Yeah.
Regardless of how what things that I say might come off, or how depressed I might sound about things, or how like disconnected from the world I might sound. I've been in this relationship for, I mean, like 8.5 years. We have a child together. So like
Yeah.
I'm speaking from a person who is, we have a 6-year-old child together
Yeah.
is the thing. Like it's not even, but I don't know. This is definitely a feeling that I felt, and it's a feeling that essentially ate up part of my adolescence, because I was in a terrible relationship with a person that I 100% did not like, only because I was addicted to this feeling. So I almost took the opposite direction, where it's not that I was reconciling my loneliness. I was like trying to fill that void with the feeling, while reconciling the fact that I was getting it from a person that I felt almost the opposite about.
Yeah, that sounds very topical for track number 5, Bad Apple. So we're going to go on and move to that and continue this discussion, I guess. Because Bad Apple, on the surface level, it's just about being trapped in a bad relationship, which is kind of like what you're talking about. But beneath the sweet skin of the apple, it definitely seems more along the lines of the depth of what you were just talking about, where he's talking about like forming a bad relationship while you're in a dark place, and then never letting go of it, even once you get out of that dark place, like an addiction that you can't shake, or something that just, no matter how you change your life, you're always kind of drawn back to it.
Yeah, dude, it's hard. Like, and that's the thing. Rotten fruit gets a lot sweeter before it turns absolutely terrible. Like, have you ever
No.
eaten a really old banana? That shit's fucking like just eating pure sugar.
I've not. I don't think I've ever eaten an almost rotten banana.
Yeah, well, don't try it. I mean, I'm not recommending it, but it's really
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, I don't think I relate necessarily to this track in that way, because I don't think I've ever had that kind of need to stick with a bad relationship in a way. I definitely relate to the same relationship in a different way that comes up in later tracks, which I guess I'll go into then when we get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel it. Like, I don't know. My whole life has been conquered by vices. So,
Yeah.
and this just constitutes one of those. Is this the song that you were going to relate to Everlong?
It is. It
Okay.
is. So yeah, musically, this one kind of goes back to the minor key, kind of sad boy stuff. The guitar tone on this song is just so good. I
Yeah.
love the guitar tone. I note that so many times in the album, and yeah, the chord progression specifically, along with the guitar tone in this song, definitely gives Everlong vibes.
Dude, like, just, I'm going to take a second. Everlong is such a good fucking
It
song.
really is.
Like, it's something, it's just like throughout my life, it has been a constant. And it's like every time I come back to think of it, I'm just like, even more so, I'm just like, that
Yeah,
song is just,
it's a song that like you listen to and you think it's great, and then you give it some space and you come back and you listen to it and you think it's even better, and it
yeah.
just like it never stops getting better.
And it is like one of those absolutely timeless songs, I think. Like,
I agree.
God, I just need some time to fucking breathe after thinking about Everlong.
All right. We can give you some space from Everlong and talk about track number 6, Breathe.
Okay, cool. As long as we're talking about a different track.
Indeed.
This one, it does have like a different sound. Like, I
Yes.
mean, it's a sixth song on the album out of 10 songs. It's the second half. It does bring in a new sound where it's like got this cool bassy guitar melody at the beginning. Like, I'm glad they changed it up at this point. Like, not to say that I don't love the sound of the first 5 tracks,
Yeah.
but it's good to hear some new stuff. Hear what else they have in their arsenal.
I agree. This one, it slows it up. It's kind of this like sad boy anthem kind of deal to it, and I don't think I enjoy the song as much as you do based on what you were just describing. I feel like, for better or worse, they made the song feel as long as possible. It is the longest song on the album, but I think that's just like enhanced by the fact that it has a slower tempo. It has kind of a different sound, and it's just surrounded. A lot of this track is like 2.5-minute songs. So going from that to like a 5.5-minute song in the middle of the album, just like it really makes this song drag on very long to me. And I'm not really into that.
I like this song in the same way. I mean, I don't know. I like.
I think contextually it's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just not. There wasn't a lot that like stood out to me to make this song interesting to me.
As long as this song is, I didn't have a ton of notes on it. Just that I liked the difference in it, and I do like the slower. Because I mean, I like doom metal and stuff where they just play the same fucking riff for like 20 minutes.
Drone metal. Yeah.
But yeah, drone metal. But also in this one, his voice, just something about the way that he sings this song.
Mm-hmm.
I can't put my finger on it, but like how you were talking about, as soon as we started this episode, there's just something so nostalgic about the way that he's singing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it hits whatever part of my brain that leads me through life. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool sound. Lyrically, this one was kind of hard for me to read, but I think it seems like the singer has maybe confessed his true feelings or lack thereof, I guess, to his partner, and is kind of expecting and maybe even hoping for his partner to break up with him because he doesn't want the guilt associated with breaking up, or because he thinks that he doesn't have any good reason enough to break up with them. It's easier for him to find reasons to be dumped than to do the dumping, which I think is also kind of relatable to me. Just like being in a relationship where you're like, yeah, I don't have any good grounds. Like I'm with a good person and they don't do anything wrong, but I'm not feeling the way that I should be feeling, and they don't deserve that kind of treatment from me. But instead of breaking up with them because I can't really justify it, I just hope that they break up with me.
Yeah, that's where I where I went. Like, it was to harken back to the relationship that I was talking about earlier, that was essentially the whirlwind that took up like 3.5 years of my adolescent life. That's kind of where it ended, where it just like, I mean, not to say that in my case that the other person was necessarily a saint or anything, but but that's kind of where it happened, where it was like we were both young, we were both naive. It was just more emotions about the emotions that we were having than about each other, and you're kind of just trying to figure out a reason, because it's like whenever you're so anxious that something's going to end because you don't know how to cope after the fact, where you're just like, I just want to kind of find a natural way for this to stop without having to like cause too much conflict, and just hope that something just happens.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting, like on a meta level, because it's kind of similar to the theme that we kind of discussed earlier of having such a normal / boring life and wanting something to happen, wanting that conflict, wanting that drama to stir up, just so you have something different. Obviously, it's kind of in a different context within the relationship where you're hoping it ends, I guess, but it's kind of an interesting parallel.
Yeah, I've always chalked that up, because I have thought about that before, where it's like, I don't know, you're wanting all these adventures. I say adventures. People's strife that happens in real life is not an adventure, but like whenever you think about it, it's this romanticized version of these things that are happening in your mind that doesn't necessarily have much context to what's happening, or what the actual situation would be. But then whenever you're faced with it, I mean, it's kind of like depression in a way, where you're stuck and you're so comfortable with whatever it is, even if it's completely uncomfortable, that you don't necessarily know how to get out, or the anxiety that surrounds getting out is so great that you're just like, no, I'm just going to sit here until I'm not going to make any moves. I'm just going to sit here until whatever happens is over. I'm just going to shut my eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm relinquishing control to the universe.
Yeah, and you're relinquishing control of the direction of this episode to me, so that I can guide us on to track number 7, Control.
Thank God. I'm glad you picked that up.
This one brings back the energy a bit. It's got this like pounding snare and then this kind of like repeating, droning almost guitar and bass line, and it doesn't. It feels like it's building to like some sort of explosion of energy, and it doesn't for a while. It kind of like rides this kind of flat same energy level for most of the song, and I use flat in a good way. Well, I guess not inherently good, but not inherently bad. It's just like it's super interesting to me that it kind of like it's a very flat song most of the way through it. You're kind of anticipating it to change, and it doesn't. The vocals don't really have this energy to them. The music just kind of keeps happening to you, and then the outro of the song is when this kind of release finally happens, where it's all instrumental and the energy kind of feels like it maybe hit a boiling point and is just kind of like pouring out over the pot. It's nothing like super wild or crazy, but I thought it was just an interesting structure for a song.
Yeah, I agree. Like, just the feeling that it makes you have. Which I feel like I meant to point this out in another song, but I didn't. But like, it's almost like the feeling that they're trying to make the music make you feel is like the point of it more
Yeah.
than the actual lyrics or the music itself or anything. It's like trying to get an emotion to happen within you, and it works really well because like I don't know, there's this weird backwards sounding filter on his voice here. It's his vocal track is mixed like really low
Right.
behind that that pounding snare and like the guitar that keeps coming throughout like the whole intro, and it makes you feel on edge. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's the point, which is weird because the song's called Control, and I feel like I have no control over my reaction to this song.
Yeah, I think you're right in the intentional like design of it to make you feel a certain way. I think it's an interesting spin on wanting to gain control of your life because again the kind of flat like droning sensation of the song kind of puts you in this mindset of like driving on an interstate highway going home from something super late at night where you're kind of like sleepy. You're not really thinking too much. You're not paying a total amount of attention, but it's okay because there's not a lot of other cars and it's a fairly straight path. Which I mean, the lyrically the song doesn't have a lot of words. It says fear, swallow me whole, life help me take control, feel safe, fly straight. And to me, I kind of thought that this was more like him wanting to gain control of his life, but not in the typical like my life is spiraling out of control and I'm making bad decisions kind of way. Kind of the opposite, in that he kind of wants control of his life to make decisions that aren't going to keep him on this kind of boring, mundane, safe, straight path that he's been coasting on his whole life. He wants to detour and experience other things instead of just taking the most direct route through his life to his inevitable death and wanting to experience some of the drama and the tragedy that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I got that too. And like also to the other direction though, where he's wanting the control to I guess live his life and feel alive, but also not make the absolute irrational decisions that a lot of people make when they're just trying to live, like the typical, I guess you'd consider it like midlife crisis type stuff where like
Yeah.
you see somebody who's been working a desk job for 20 years and they go out and fucking blow all their money at like a casino or do whatever,
By a
just
yacht.
yeah, like they just go crazy. Like it's like wanting to find that middle ground where you can live your life, not just absolutely succumb to the monotony that is whatever you're currently doing, and but not go crazy at the same time.
Man, we're all going crazy. We're going crazy until we fade to black.
Yeah, we are, and we're going crazy until we start talking about track number 8, Black.
Easy segues. This
Easy.
one, again, the guitar tone that gets called out. I love it. I could listen to the opening riff of the song that's just like the guitar tone on a loop forever and be totally fine with it. I think it does change up a bit at the end. There's like this chuggy kind of guitar ending to it, and the vocals get a bit more harsh, and it kind of hits like a Killing Joke kind of vibe for me, which I'm obviously super into.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out because I don't know if it was this track or one of the next two tracks, but I forgot the singer vocalist name from Killing Joke, but whenever he even kind of does it in Whole, whenever he's like singing Lie to Me, it's like a lesser version, not lesser as in worse, but not as like
as intense as Jazz Coleman.
Yeah, Jazz Coleman. Yeah, there we go. It's not as intense as his, but you can definitely hear it there.
For sure. Which is a good sound. I like that sound.
Yeah,
it's we talked about it in our Killing Joke episode. Go listen to that.
Yeah, plug in our other episodes. Go watch all of them.
Go watch every single one of them. This is what, episode 95? So
God,
you got a few to catch up if you're just joining us.
Holy shit, that's like a task now to try to catch up on our episodes.
That's a commitment.
Yeah. It's like trying to watch Critical Role like halfway through a season.
You can't do it. It's too far gone. It's hundreds of hours.
God,
but yeah, lyrically, I do not relate to this track at all, unless I'm lying. Bum bum bum. Because the songs, he starts off saying, "I tell lies."
Yeah.
But
are you telling lies though?
I'm not. I'm not. This song is like, I mean, I guess to some extent you can probably shoehorn a connection, but the song's like the singer expressing that he's built up this kind of whole life of lies around someone and has kind of trapped himself in those lies, hiding the truth and taking it to the grave because he doesn't want to maybe there's guilt associated with building up such a intricate story of lies, but he says he'd rather die than have the person find out what he's trying to hide.
I can't necessarily relate to the whole lying thing because
is that a lie?
Yeah, that's a lie. but in the way that like I was talking about wanting something to end without like necessarily declaring your feelings.
Yeah.
That part I could a version of me could have related to in the past, where it's like ever since then I feel like I've made great strides to being an open person and not just bottling everything up. But I can definitely at least relate to that feeling, not necessarily
hiding how you're truly feeling.
But as far as like blatant lying goes, nah, not really. That's
and maybe it's just the hyperbole of song, but it seems like he's really like built up a lot of lies and stuff here. Like he says, "I tell lies. If I didn't, you'd be horrified. I'd rather die than have you find out what I'm trying to hide. I can't escape these walls I made surrounding me." So it just, I don't know, it felt much more ominous and impending than just like, I guess, the lying in the sense of just like obscuring your true into like feelings, I guess, for someone. But I guess within the context of the album, it's not that far of a stretch.
Yeah, it almost felt like it was like lies, like in a manipulation sort of way.
Right.
It's kind of like how I felt, and I was just like, I don't know. I was with you for a while.
Yeah, you had me, and then you lost me.
But maybe it'll be some comfort when we hear the next track and see if we can get back on track.
Oh, you mean track number 9, Comfort?
Yeah.
This one's another more kind of like clean, emo-ish sounding song, which I don't know. This one, it's short. It's 2 minutes and 19-ish seconds long, and it ends kind of abruptly. Like there's a long musical intro to it, and then the lyrics come in, and then the song kind of just like chops off, which makes it feel more of like an intro into the next track than a standalone track by itself.
Yeah, I agree. It like not. I mean, I guess this is the shortest track on the album. Like I think it is. I mean,
yeah, I think so.
But yeah, it almost feels super short, but at the same time, it's like it does feel like just a long intro to the next track.
Yeah, it kind of bridges. I really like the layout of this last portion of the album because like Comfort feels like a good bridge to the final track, where it both lyrically and musically, I think it kind of covers the ground that it needs to. It gives space for some reflection before the kind of, I guess, climax of the story, and then lyrically it kind of also like resets some momentum or expectations from it, I think.
Yeah, and lyrically, to touch on that point, I feel like this one, I don't know, it kind of sheds the like being relatable as well. Like I'm not attached to the lyrics in this song. Like it doesn't necessarily cut to my core, because this one it seems like he's wanting to go back to being a child, or he still feels like a child, which maybe in that case I could have related to it in the past, but it's pick me up, put me on your shoulders, sing to me to help me get to sleep. The picture frame has seen much better days, but on the wall it's going to stay. And that makes me, I guess it just makes me think that he still feels like a child that is living in a bubble, which is, that part is relatable, but I don't know, just something about it. It doesn't seem like something I would sing if I were writing a song. Where as some of the previous songs sound like if someone were to like look inside my brain, it was like, okay, we'll turn that into this.
Yeah, I took this in a kind of a slightly different direction, in that like it is kind of vague and open to interpretation again, but it has kind of had the feeling for me of the singer kind of reflecting and being nostalgic and it kind of touching on the same general points as what you had said, but it seemed like he was wanting, I mean, kind of tying back to some of the earlier tracks, he's wanting somebody to comfort him, someone to embrace him and to help, like just having someone there that will help him like fall asleep by like just being present as that kind of thing goes, as his mom did when he was a child kind of thing. So not like a literal like I wish I was a child again so that my mother could help me, but just wanting something similar, that kind of motherly love from a partner or from somebody in life, which again we've discussed early in the album that he wants that. He wants to be wanted. There's a comfort in being in a relationship, even though he knows he doesn't necessarily quote unquote deserve to have that. He wants that kind of comfort.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's not even fully equipped to have it, but
yeah, he doesn't know how to handle it.
You can always wish, man.
Track number 10, Wish. Woo! We made it to the end. This one has a very like epic building kind of intro. It's very kind of theatrical and almost proggy in some sense. The guitar riff in the verse reminded me of Cherub Rock by Smashing Pumpkins. But yeah, it's a 5-minute song. It actually does have a pretty good amount of progression as the song goes on, which makes it feel not as flat and long as Breathe did for me. I mean, obviously it's a little bit shorter, but the changes throughout the song kind of leads to this kind of like darker midsection that breaks up the energy and builds up for the big finale. I think it's a very good ending track.
Yeah, and especially with the ending that they take here, where it's like the vocal part of this song ends probably about at the 3-minute mark, and then they just kind of have this cool jam type of ending where it's just like they write it out on the music. And I mean, we've been talking about how good the music is, or how good the general sound is, at least on this album. The vibe, yes, there we go. I feel like it definitely rides that vibe out straight to the end, and it's a nice end cap to this album.
And I think lyrically I don't know if it necessarily ties anything up. It kind of starts the cycle over, I suppose, in that it seems like the singer is now fearful of losing his lover, of his girlfriend or whatever, because he still craves the affection and the comfort, as mentioned in the last track, despite being still like so detached and apathetic about the person behind it, which again is something that I maybe relate to too much.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I've definitely had feelings like a couple of years ago I was dating someone, and it was kind of a similar situation. This is going to get too real, but I'm going to keep it succinct. Basically, I had a very similar situation where I wasn't feeling the way that I thought I should be feeling towards this person, and there was nothing wrong with them. It was just that I feel like, and it's not specific, I guess, to that relationship. At many points in my life, I felt that I've just like not been emotionally capable of being a good partner in a relationship, just because I'm so like detached and apathetic for a lot of things. But there's still this like, as soon as my last relationship ended, it kind of like hit me that I was alone, and that I did enjoy having somebody there, even if I wasn't feeling anything for that person specifically. It was nice, having someone to sleep next to, or having someone that's just kind of present, even if you don't give a shit about them as a person, which that's a very extreme thing to say.
Yeah.
I still talk to that person. We're still friends. Like, I don't have any negative feelings or anything, but there wasn't that kind of like love connection that I think she deserved, I guess, from the relationship.
Like, and that's a thing. Like, I mean, not saying that was or wasn't the case for you, but I feel like, I mean, I also have a hard time feeling things just in general. Like, a question that I often have gotten throughout my life is like, are you mad? Are you upset? Are you sad? Are you whatever?
Yeah.
Or like, what is this? Are you not happy or something? Because it's just the way, I'm not an ecstatic person, and I don't think you are either, from what I know you as.
Not.
Like, you're not the kind of person that'd be like, yeah, I'm super super happy, and like,
sorry,
no,
go ahead and finish. Go ahead and finish. Actually,
it's just like,
I'll post interrupt.
I feel like people expect that to a point, or it's at least been so ingrained into you that other people expect that you feel like they do, and then you feel bad for not feeling that, and at a certain point you kind of have to like come to terms with the fact that like, that's just not who I am. But you have to also realize then that other people may be expecting that, and if they do and you can't do that, no matter what you feel, that's not like,
it's not a healthy relationship.
Yeah, you can't be something you're not, and if something that you are isn't what the other person is expecting, everything else kind of just falls into place where you're like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It's not who I am. I can't fake it, because if I do, you'll know, and even if you don't know, I can't do that for the rest of my life.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to say it's interesting that emotions are kind of built up as something that is so universal, and that like, if someone asks me if I'm happy, which I don't know how often it actually comes up in practice, but I feel like there's never been a point in my life when I've been yes. Like, I would never answer yes to that question.
Yeah.
I don't think. Just because, like, I don't know if it's because my concept of happy in my mind is different from what other people view as happy, or if it's just because I'm not capable of feeling to the same extent, I guess, as other people, or maybe just expressing to the same thing. This might be just like some emotionally stuntedness of mine, where I'm just like, I'm not developed emotionally, I suppose, in some aspects, which that's a whole nother discussion, I think. But I think it's fascinating that like, there is that kind of expectation that we place on ourselves to react in a certain way, especially like now with online media being such a thing where so many people are just constantly reacting to things in a public forum and being like, I fucking hate Twitch chat. I'm just going to say it. I fucking hate Twitch chat. I hate a lot of Twitch streaming and stuff because it's just so hyperbolic.
Yeah.
They exaggerate their reactions on stream, but also everyone in chat is like screaming fucking poggers and just like just going wild for something that's just like someone's playing a video game on screen, right? And I'm not saying that they're wrong for being excited about that, but I've never once in my life felt that excited about anything, I don't think. And that's kind of like, maybe that's on me, but that it just feels so fake, and I hate more than anything trying to put up this front of feeling something or being some way that I'm not.
I mean, yeah, like, it's crazy. And even lol, dude, like, LOL, laugh out loud. Nobody's fucking laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Like,
I think about that on a daily basis.
I know this has been said so many times, and I do it. I type it.
Yeah, so do I.
It's
an instinct.
Yeah, everyday part of my lexicon. There's almost like, I'd say half of the things I type have lol somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not. I have. When was the last
time?
Just
a deadpan face. Yeah.
Yeah, I have not. Half the time I don't even do the fucking light light blow out of my nose thing, where
just
it's like
not even a chortle.
But it's just a thing where you're like, I acknowledge. It's almost like saying I acknowledge that that's funny.
There was an attempt made to be humorous.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna acknowledge it.
Yeah,
but I don't fucking know, man.
Maybe we're just assholes, man.
I don't know. I think there's some truth to the disconnectedness of that, like that the internet, or just that not face-to-face connection has made.
For sure.
As much as I definitely praise technology and stuff that's happening, it's all super cool, and it's not all super cool, but there's plenty of good things that have been happening in the technological space, but
it's definitely harming us as a society in other ways, for sure.
Yeah,
there's some good with some bad, a little good, a little bad.
But we did talk about this album.
We did,
on the internet, so.
And we ranted a bit at the end.
Yeah,
we're almost at an hour now. I guess for everyone else it's about 50 minutes, but we'll wrap this up next week. Join us because we're going to be talking about an album titled RKS from the artist/band ? Rainbow Kitten Surprise. This was an album that was recommended to me from one of my friends a while back, a few months back, and I said we'd get to it at some point. And I didn't have an album to pick at the end of, or at the start of tonight, so I was just like, you know what, well, we'll try this album. So I don't really know what to expect. I know vaguely what the person that recommended this to me, what their taste in music is. So I kind of have some vague expectation that it's not going to be anything too wild. But yeah, Rainbow Kitten Surprise, RKS, come back next week. Let us know in the comments if you liked our rant, or if you want to yell at me for being emotionally stunted or having a low emotional IQ level or whatever. You know, just yell at us, berate us in the comments if you want, or if you enjoyed this, you know, tell us that as well. I guess encouragement is good. I want to be wanted, so want me, you know.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Stay on our feedback loop.